Chosen one, pause. If your chest tightened the moment these words reached you, it's because this wasn't random. This wasn't an accident. This moment was arranged. There are messages you search for, and then there are messages that search you out, slipping past logic, arriving straight at the place you've been guarding in silence. This is one of those moments. You've been carrying questions you never say out loud. You've been wondering why something you invested your heart, your time, your hope into suddenly collapsed. And deep down you felt it wasn't just bad luck. You felt watched, redirected, interrupted, and chosen one. Before we go deeper, pause for a moment, hit subscribe, and comment present if your spirit is already responding. Because this message is about to speak directly to you, and acknowledging it is part of the alignment unfolding right now. You see, not everything that grows is meant to keep growing. Some things don't just succeed, they consume. What you wanted would have asked for more and more of you. Your peace, your intuition, your boundaries, until one day you woke up and realized you no longer recognized yourself. You would have survived it, yes, but you wouldn't have been free. And freedom matters to the divine plan written over your life. That's why the universe stepped in quietly, not with thunder, not with explanations, but with failure, a sudden ending, a door that wouldn't stay open no matter how hard you pushed. And it hurt because you thought it was rejection. You thought it meant you weren't enough. But chosen one, that collapse was investigation. Heaven was examining the trajectory, the long-term cost, the hidden change you couldn't yet see. You've survived unseen battles, battles where smiling was armor, battles where obedience felt like loss. But hear this clearly now. The universe did not let it fail because you were weak. It let it fail because it was going to own you. And you are not meant to be owned by anything beneath your calling. This message arrives now because you're finally ready to understand. The confusion is lifting. The pattern is revealing itself. Stay with me, because what's about to be uncovered will reframe everything you thought you lost and reveal what was secretly protecting you all along. Chosen one, let's begin gently here, because this truth doesn't arrive with noise. It arrives with recognition. There is a difference between growth and control, and your soul has always known it, even when your mind tried to justify what didn't feel right. Growth expands your spirit. When something is meant for you, it makes room inside you. You feel more yourself, not less. Your breath deepens, your intuition sharpens. Even when growth challenges you, it never violates you. It stretches you without breaking your boundaries. It invites you forward, not by force, but by alignment. You still feel free to choose. You still feel connected to who you are becoming. But control is quieter and more deceptive. Control doesn't arrive as a threat. It arrives disguised as opportunity. It says, just a little more effort, just don't slow down now. And slowly what once felt exciting starts to feel urgent, heavy, demanding. You begin measuring your worth by how much you can endure. You stop asking, does this feel right? And start asking, what will happen if I stop? Chosen one, notice the shift. Growth asks for presence. Control asks for obedience. Growth honors your free will. Control feeds on your fear of losing what you've already invested so much into. Have you ever felt that tightness in your chest when you tried to rest? That subtle anxiety when you imagine stepping back, even for a moment? That's not ambition. That's not discipline. That is your spirit signaling that something has crossed the line from expansion into ownership. Because true growth never punishes you for listening to your body or your soul. At first, control looks like progress. It looks like momentum. It looks like finally making it. But underneath, it's asking for small sacrifices that add up over time. Your peace here, your intuition there, your joy quietly placed on hold. And one day you look around and realize you are maintaining something that no longer nourishes you. You are protecting a structure that is slowly draining the life from you. Ask yourself this, chosen one. Did this path make you feel more alive or more afraid of stopping? Did it expand your sense of self or shrink your world down to one outcome you felt you couldn't afford to lose? Growth feels light, even when it's serious. Control always feels heavy, even when it promises reward. And the universe watches closely for this distinction. Because when something begins to demand your soul as payment, divine intervention is no longer optional. It becomes necessary. That's why what comes next may have felt confusing. That's why the pressure intensified before the collapse. Stay with me, because once you understand this difference, you'll finally see why what ended had to end, and how it was never meant to define you. Chosen one. Not every open door leads to freedom. Some doors look like blessings at first, wide, promising, glowing with possibility, until you step inside and realize they quietly lock behind you. Success doesn't become a cage all at once. It happens slowly, almost gently. In the beginning, it feels like expansion, like finally being seen, like momentum after a long season of waiting. You tell yourself, this is what I prayed for. And maybe it was, at least in the beginning. But over time, something subtle shifts. What once energized you starts requiring constant upkeep. You're no longer moving forward. You're maintaining, protecting, holding things together. You start waking up thinking about what could go wrong instead of what feels right. The joy gets replaced by responsibility, the freedom by obligation. And without realizing it, you begin living for the outcome instead of your soul. You measure your days by performance. You measure your worth by consistency. And rest starts to feel like risk. Have you noticed that, chosen one? That quiet pressure to always show up the same way? That fear that if you slow down, everything you built might disappear? That's how the cage forms. Not with bars, but with expectations. Not with chains, but with dependence. The success begins to ask for proof. Proof that you deserve it. Proof that you can sustain it. Proof that you won't let it fall. And so you compromise just a little at a time. You say yes when your spirit wants to say no. You ignore the fatigue. You silence the inner voice that whispers, this is costing you too much. The cage wasn't built in one moment. It was built in survival mode. In the seasons where you felt you couldn't afford to question what was working. In the moments where stability mattered more than alignment. You didn't choose the cage, you adapted to it. You did what you had to do to survive, to stay afloat, to keep what you'd earned. And the universe understands that. It never judges the chosen one for surviving, but it also doesn't allow survival to replace destiny forever. Because success that requires you to abandon yourself will always demand more than it gives. So ask yourself gently now, does this success still feel like expansion? Or does it feel like something you're afraid to lose? Are you building a life or guarding a position? Hold that awareness, chosen one. Because recognizing the cage is the first step toward release. And what comes next will explain why the universe didn't let that door stay open forever. Chosen one, ownership never arrives loudly. It doesn't demand. It doesn't threaten. It whispers. And that is why so many don't notice it until their spirit is already tired. The first sign is rarely burnout. It's anxiety during rest. The moment you try to slow down, your mind refuses to be still. Even in silence, you feel on edge, like something is waiting for you, like you're falling behind. Rest no longer feels nourishing, it feels irresponsible. And you begin to wonder why stillness, the very place you once heard guidance clearly, now feels uncomfortable. That's not laziness. That's your soul signaling that it's being overextended beyond divine permission. Then comes guilt, quiet, persistent guilt, whenever you say no. You start explaining yourself too much, apologizing for boundaries. You feel responsible for other people's expectations, outcomes, and emotions. And chosen one, listen closely. When something starts owning you, your no feels dangerous. Not because it is, but because the attachment has taught you that your worth is tied to your availability. Have you felt that fear of disappointing others? That subtle pressure to stay consistent, dependable, strong, even when you're exhausted? Another sign appears even more softly. The loss of joy. The very thing that once lit you up now feels heavy. You still show up. You still perform. But the excitement is gone. It feels mechanical. and you tell yourself you're just being ungrateful, or that this is what maturity looks like. But deep down, you know something sacred has dimmed. These are not failures, chosen one. They are messages, sacred warning signals sent by a soul that loves you enough to speak up before you disappear inside obligation. Your spirit always knows when a line has been crossed. It tightens your chest, it drains your enthusiasm, it creates resistance, not to punish you, but to protect you. Ownership thrives on silence. It grows when you override your intuition again and again. But the universe does not ignore these signals. It watches patiently, giving you space to choose alignment on your own. And when you don't, when you can't, it prepares another way. So ask yourself gently now, when did rest start feeling unsafe? When did joy turn into duty? When did your yes stop feeling like a choice? Stay with me, chosen one, because understanding these signs will help you see why what happened next was not a loss, but a release. Chosen one, sometimes the collapse is the rescue. Not every ending is a consequence of doing something wrong. Some endings happen because you stayed too long trying to make something work that was quietly costing you your spirit. Failure in the human sense feels humiliating. It feels like loss of control, loss of direction, loss of identity. But in the language of the universe, failure can be an act of mercy, a precise, intentional interruption, because there are moments when the chosen one is too invested to walk away, too loyal to detach, too tired to start over on their own. And in those moments, the universe steps in, not harshly, not angrily, but firmly. Think about it, chosen one. If that thing had continued to succeed, would you have left? Or would you have kept sacrificing yourself in small, invisible ways? The universe sees the long road ahead. It sees how something that looks stable today could slowly erase you tomorrow. And when your hands are too full to let go, divine timing creates a break. This is not punishment. Punishment shames. This did not come to shame you. This came to extract you, to remove you from a cycle that was tightening, from an attachment that was growing roots too deep in your identity. Sometimes success is allowed to fail because success was becoming the trap. The collapse feels sudden to you, but it was prepared quietly. Conversations you couldn't control, outcomes you couldn't manage, doors that closed despite your effort. That wasn't chaos, that was coordination. A higher intelligence intervening when your strength was being used to survive instead of to live. And yes, it hurt, because even divine release can feel violent when you're attached. Even mercy can sting when it dismantles something you believed was your future. But chosen one, hear this clearly now. What ended did not end because you were unworthy. It ended because staying would have required you to abandon yourself completely. Ask yourself this with honesty. If it hadn't collapsed, how much longer would you have endured what was draining you? How much more of yourself would you have traded just to keep it alive? The universe does not remove things casually. When it intervenes this way, it's because your calling cannot afford slow erosion. What looks like failure on the surface is often divine protection in motion. Stay with me, because after the collapse comes the quiet return of something you thought you lost forever: your freedom. Chosen one. Freedom doesn't return all at once. It returns in breaths, in pauses, in the quiet moments where you suddenly realize there is no pressure chasing you anymore. After the disappointment, there is often a strange emptiness, not just sadness, but silence. The routines are gone. The identity you wrapped around that role, that goal, that future no longer has something to orbit around. And in that space, grief appears. You grieve what you hoped it would become. You grieve the version of yourself who tried so hard to make it work. This grief is real and it deserves tenderness. Confusion follows. You might feel unanchored, unsure of who you are without the thing that once demanded so much of you. But chosen one, hear this gently. Feeling lost does not mean you're lost. It means the weight has been lifted. It means the noise has finally quieted enough for you to hear yourself again. And then, almost unexpectedly, relief arrives. Not loud, not celebratory. Just a soft exhale you didn't know you'd been holding for months, maybe years. You sleep a little deeper, Your body relaxes in ways you can't explain. The constant vigilance fades. This is freedom beginning to return, one breath at a time. Now comes the delicate part, relearning how to move without chains. When you've lived in survival mode for so long, peace can feel unfamiliar. You may feel guilty for resting, uneasy in the calm, but this is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that your nervous system is healing, that trust is being rebuilt, not just in the universe, but in yourself. Ask yourself, chosen one, who am I when nothing is demanding my performance? What do I feel when I'm no longer bracing for the next expectation? This season is not about rushing into the next thing. It's about remembering what alignment feels like, about letting your intuition stretch its legs again, about choosing softly, slowly, honestly. Freedom is not dramatic when it returns. It is gentle. And that gentleness is proof that you are finally safe enough to live without armor. Stay present here, because the final lesson is about what comes next and how to build a life that will never require you to sacrifice your peace again. Chosen one, the next chapter will ask less of you and give more back. Not because you're doing less, but because you're finally living in alignment instead of resistance. There comes a moment after everything has fallen quiet when you realize you are no longer willing to build at the expense of your peace. The old standards no longer fit. Hustle without harmony feels empty. Achievement without alignment feels hollow. And this is not weakness. It is wisdom earned through survival. From this point forward, your life begins to reorganize around a new currency. Not validation, not urgency, not appearance. Peace. Peace becomes the measure of what stays and what goes. If something costs you your nervous system, your intuition, your sense of self, it is no longer success, no matter how impressive it looks from the outside. This new way of living will feel different, slower, softer, safer. And at first your mind may question it. You may wonder if you're falling behind. But chosen one, you are not falling behind. You are finally moving in the right direction. Alignment does not rush, it unfolds. What's coming next won't demand constant proof of your worth. It won't ask you to abandon yourself to sustain it. It will grow with you, not on top of you. This time success will serve you. It will support your life instead of consuming it. It will leave space for rest, for joy, for presence. Ask yourself now with honesty and compassion, does this path allow me to breathe? Does it leave room for who I am becoming? You are no longer here to survive systems that drain you. You are here to build something that feels like home inside your body. And the universe knows this. That is why it removed what couldn't come with you. Stay open, stay gentle. The life ahead may not look loud, but it will feel right. And that feeling is how you'll know you're finally free. Chosen one, sometimes the collapse is the rescue. And I know that sentence alone might stir confusion inside you, because what you lived through did not feel like mercy. It felt like loss. It felt like embarrassment. It felt like the ground giving way beneath something you had poured yourself into. But divine protection does not always arrive as comfort. Sometimes it arrives as interruption. Failure, as the world defines it, is heavy with judgment. It makes you question your worth, your decisions, your timing. It convinces you that you misread the signs or trusted the wrong vision. But the universe does not operate on shame. It operates on preservation. And when something in your life begins to demand more of your soul than it is allowed to take, intervention becomes inevitable. Ask yourself honestly, chosen one, if that situation had continued to succeed, would you have left it on your own? Or would you have stayed enduring just a little more pressure, a little more exhaustion, telling yourself it was temporary? The universe knew the answer. That's why it stepped in when your loyalty kept you bound longer than alignment ever intended. Divine release often comes disguised as collapse because attachment is powerful. You don't let go easily, not because you're weak, but because you care deeply. You commit fully. And when something becomes tied to your identity, your effort, your sacrifices, walking away feels like erasing yourself. So instead of asking you to let go, the universe removes the grip altogether. This is not punishment, Punishment seeks to teach through pain. This was protection seeking to extract, a quiet removal from a future that would have slowly eroded you. Because chosen one, not all destruction is violent. Some destruction is surgical, precise, timed. Think about how things unraveled, the way pieces fell apart beyond your control. Conversations shifted, support faded, doors closed no matter how much effort you applied. That wasn't chaos, that was orchestration. When outcomes stop responding to effort, it's often because effort is no longer the solution. And yes, it hurt, because even mercy can hurt when it dismantles what you believed was your destiny. You mourned what you thought your life was becoming. You questioned yourself in the silence that followed. But underneath the grief, something else began to stir, didn't it? A strange relief, a loosening, a breath you didn't realize you'd been holding. That breath is the signal. That breath is the proof. Failure didn't arrive to end you. It arrived to save you from disappearing inside something that was growing too large in your life. The universe does not remove what aligns. It only removes what threatens to replace your soul with survival. So ask yourself now, chosen one, what part of me was being slowly sacrificed to keep that alive? What version of myself was I becoming just to endure it? You were not abandoned. You were intercepted, redirected, released. And what feels like an ending is actually the moment your spirit was finally chosen over the structure you were trying to maintain. Stay here with me, because once you understand this, you'll stop asking why it failed and start understanding what it freed you for.